Happy moment to everyone. This is Perkish Salomina, Assistant Professor, Department of Social Work, St.Joseph College of Arts and Science, Autonomous Cuddalore. In this video lecture, we are going to learn about labor legislation. Let us get into the slide. The word labor legislation or labor law means a body of law which consists of employment and non-employment conditions in the aspect of wage, working condition, industrial relations, social security, and labor welfare of industrially employed person. In short, labor legislations are the act or the law enabled for the employees to protect them in all kinds of aspects, for example, in social security and working conditions and working hours, and in means of providing salary or wage to the employees. Labor legislation is protecting all the rights of the employee in an working conditions. The labor legislations or labor law covers several areas like certification of labor unions, which means if a particular industry or any organization is having labor unions, it should be registered legally to carry out their activities in the organizations. The union's activities can be a collective bargaining or fighting for the workers' betterment and a kind of social service or social activities to the society which may concern. And these particular activities and the act of labor union, it should be registered. For registering labor union, we have certain rules and regulations and conditions to be followed for union registrations. For example, if you want to have a labor union in your organization, you have to register first. For that registration, it should consist of 7 employees, and that employee should not be an adolescent, which means each employee should be completed age of 18, which means all the employees should be adult, those who are registering the trade unions. So likewise, there are certain conditions and rules to be followed to registered labor unions, or we can call it as a trade unions. So trade unions mainly meant for collective bargaining and their processes. Labor law next covers labor management and the relations, which means the relationship between the employees and between the employer and employee and between the employer. So which means all these 3 criteria should be maintained properly to have a better working conditions. Relationships plays major role in the organizational setup, because if we fail to maintain a proper relationship, it may lead to conflicts of the labor and the employer. Next, labor law covers workplace health and safety conditions. This workplace health and safety conditions is well explained in the Factories Act 1948. It states all the conditions of the industry or an organizations where 10 or more employees are working. There should be a proper welfare measures should be provided to the employees, like proper ventilation, lighting facilities, and the proper urinal facilities should be provided to all the employees in all the industries. Then labor law covers employment standards. The employment standard include the working hour of the employee and the wage and salary of the employee and their roles and responsibilities of the employees in a particular organization. When we are talking about labor legislation, it doesn't occur just like that. It needs some kind of revolutionary process to take the word labor legislation. When we are talking about labor legislation, it just came or it occurred. Why? Because of the struggle faced by the workers from their masters. Labor and the employer treatment is based on the working conditions, and the working hour is most important in labor legislations. While talking about labor legislation, it root cause to the struggle faced by the employees. The struggle may be based on the working hour or based on their duty or extremely low wages and ill treatment and no safety of the welfare provisions. All these kind of exploitation make the people or the society to enable laws for the better working conditions. While talking about labor legislation, this industrial revolution plays major role. Why? Because the industrial revolution brings lot of industrial settings in India, which gives employment to different kind of people in different kind of localities. The working population is increased through industrial revolution, and that working population need better working conditions and the safety measures. So in order to bring all these working conditions and safety measures, this labor legislation is being enacted, and it's given important to regulate all the rules and regulations of working conditions. Even though the industrial revolutions brings the economical gap, and it became responsibility towards social development, which it looks towards social devices, and it resulted with formation of labor laws. So labor legislation could be called the natural children of the industrial revolution. This slide explains about objectives of labor legislation. Labor legislation mainly focuses on maintaining good industrial setup, which means a good environment of the working condition, and it also focuses on protecting all the kind of rights of the employee, and all the employee should be free from all the exploitation of physical and mental, which creates problem to the employees. Labor legislation also focus on providing justice to the working people in all these three aspects: social, economic and political. So labor legislation as a whole providing better working condition and protecting all the rights of the employee and providing proper standard for the employees. Let us discuss about principles of modern legislation. The first principle is social justice, then social security, social equality, social welfare, national economy, and international solidarity. Providing labor legislation in a developing country like India, it should focus on social justice, which means providing an opportunity to all the citizens, and social equality in the sense providing equal opportunities for all the education, employment, and providing to all the citizens in our nations. Then social security, all the citizens of India, they should be provided basic needs to protect themselves. And social welfare, it focusing on protecting them from their illness and their disability. And the national economy is talking about GDP, which can be developed through labor's market, and it gives a way for the nation's development. And the next, international solidarity, being promoted by the World Trade Organization and by the UN. It gives importance in the standard level, which means the international standard should be given to all the working conditions in all kind of industries and organizations. The labor legislations are classified into different categories. So as per our syllabus, we have few segregation of labor legislation. We see one by one. First, legislation relating to working condition and safety. Under this, we have Factories Act, Mines Act, Motor Transport Workmen Act, Plantation Labor Act, Tamil Nadu Shops and Establishment Act, and Tamil Nadu Catering from Establishment Act. We have labor legislation related to wage. Workmen's Compensation Act, Payment of Wages Amendment Act, Minimum Wages Act, Payment of Bonus Act, and Equal Remuneration Act. Next classification of labor legislation is based on social security. The first legislation is Employee State Insurance Act, Employees Provident Fund, Payment of Gratuity, and Maternity Benefit Act. So these are the basic labor legislation which are given important and which we have covered in our syllabus. Thank you.